I'm delighted to welcome you to the 2021 Jeannie Ferris Cancer Australia Recognition Award presentation. Gynecological cancers continue to have a significant impact on our community. It is estimated that over 6,500 new cases of gynecological cancer were diagnosed in Australia in 2020. By establishing this award in her name, Cancer Australia is proud to honour the tireless efforts of the late Senator Jeannie Ferris from South Australia, who died from ovarian cancer in 2007 after being diagnosed in 2005. A key member of the Senate Committee of Inquiry into Gynecological Cancers in Australia, she did so much to raise awareness about gynecological cancer in Australia. This year, the Jeannie Ferris Cancer Australia Recognition Award celebrates the outstanding contributions by the late Jill Emberson, incomparable consumer advocate and journalist, and the accomplished Professor Karen Canfell. An award-winning journalist and radio presenter based in Newcastle, New South Wales, Jill Emberson was galvanised to raise awareness and funds for ovarian cancer after her own diagnosis in 2016. Jill was named Newcastle's Citizen of the Year in early 2019 for her contribution to journalism and advocacy work. She died later that year at the age of 60, 4 years after her diagnosis.
What more can I say about the fabulous Jill Emberson? It is such an honour and recognition for her to be the community recipient of this award. I thank those who nominated her and Cancer Australia, and to all those who loved and cared for her throughout her cancer journey. Jill was a journalist, feminist, mother, writer, producer, activist, class clown, prankster, lover, fierce friend, broadcaster, warrior, counsellor, party girl, communicator, and radio and TV personality. There were so many Jills. She lived life to make a mark on it and to make it a better place and to touch lives for the better. As her husband, it was my greatest privilege to be a recipient of her passionate love and wisdom. In 2016, she was presenting the morning's show on ABC Newcastle. She was producing stories on the local Indigenous community and was preparing to be an MC for an ovarian cancer fundraiser. She had some minor pelvic pain and some constipation, and she saw her GP and had a scan. Soon after, she received the terrible news that she had an ovarian growth, and that led to her diagnosis of ovarian cancer. She went through so many treatments, including multiple surgeries, chemo, removal of a brain tumour, experimental trials and radiotherapy. She experienced many of the worst complications this disease can dish up. You name it, she got it. In amongst this, she got angry, really angry about having cancer, angry about being the patient and not the journalist covering the story, and angrier still knowing that she had a terminal illness. She got really angry about the backward state that ovarian cancer was in compared to many other cancers. Terrible death statistics, underfunded, old treatments, no screening test. While most would barely cope with what she faced every day in her cancer story, and this cancer was very cruel to her, she found out there was much work to do to make a difference for women suffering from this disease. And thinking about her daughter, she was determined that things would be much improved for her daughter's generation. Jill read about Jeannie Ferris and took inspiration from her advocacy as a politician. Jeannie did much with the short time she had to live with this illness. Jill recognised that her time was likely to be short too, so there was no time to lose. Jill picked my brains and that of many of the clinicians and researchers in the field and connected to many in the ovarian cancer support world. She spoke to various groups, including powerfully to the Prime Minister, and took a selfie to prove it. She produced an award-winning series of podcasts called Still Jill. She became involved in local and national media, clinical conferences, and developed a close working relationship and friendship with a local Professor Nicola Bowden, who was undertaking groundbreaking research in the field, particularly in the area of better treatments for women who had a return of their cancer after the initial treatment. Jill founded an advocacy group called Pink Meets Teal, hoping that women with breast cancer could join with those with gynecological cancers to further the fight to make a lasting change to both conditions and support one another. Her advocacy helped secure a significant boost in funding from the federal government in researching for more effective treatments. Since her death in December 2019, it has been a hard journey for me and her daughter Malia, and so many of us who were her friends and family. We all feel the ache of a tremendous loss of such a bright light that we would often turn to. Jill still had so much more life to live and so much more to do in her career and for her friends and family, in fact, the whole community. This was cut short by this disease. It was Jill's desire that future generations of women would face a much better chance of survival than she did. She wants us to continue the struggle to make this happen. Listen to her podcast on ABC and the Australian story, The Good Fight, or the many other programs and speeches she made. Hear her voice, feel her passion, drink it in deeply, and be inspired to get out there and make a difference. We all love you, Jill.
Internationally renowned for her work, Professor Karen Canfell is an epidemiologist and modeller who specialises in cervical cancer prevention, an adjunct professor at Sydney University Medical School and director of the Cancer Research Division at Cancer Council New South Wales. She also led the first evaluation of scaled-up cervical cancer prevention policies at the global level, which informed World Health Organization discussions and their call for global action to eliminate cervical cancer as a public health problem.
I'm honoured to receive the 2021 Jeannie Ferris Recognition Award. I'd like to thank Cancer Australia for establishing this award in honour of the late Senator Jeannie Ferris. I would also like to thank Cancer Council Australia and Professor Sancha Aranda, immediate past CEO, for their nomination and support. In accepting this award, I also gratefully thank and acknowledge our incredible research team at Cancer Council New South Wales and the many researchers across Australia and internationally with whom I've had the privilege of collaborating throughout my career. This award is a recognition of their contributions and dedication to improving outcomes for women. For decades, Australia has led the way in cervical cancer control, and it has been a key focus for our research team for many years. In particular, we have been investigating the impact of HPV vaccination and cervical screening and the interplay between these two life-saving interventions. Based on our work, the Australian National Cervical Screening Program changed its approach to screening for cervical cancer. From December 2017, women have now been screened directly for the virus that causes cervical cancer, HPV. This change to screening, combined with the long-term impact of the HPV vaccination program, has Australia on track to be the first country in the world to eliminate cervical cancer as a public health problem. We predict this will occur within the next decade. I also gratefully acknowledge my collaborators at the VCS Foundation and in C4, the NHMRC Centre of Research Excellence in Cervical Cancer Control. Together, we started the COMPASS trial, Australia's largest clinical trial and the first to assess cervical screening in an HPV vaccinated population. Despite all these successes at home, in many of the world's poorest countries, cervical cancer is still the leading cause of cancer death in women. In recent years, our team and collaborators have supported the World Health Organization in the development of a strategy to accelerate the elimination of cervical cancer globally. We have projected that this will save 62 million women's lives on the path to elimination, an absolutely extraordinary prospect. I'd like to take a moment to recognise my fellow award recipient, Jill Emberson. Her legacy will also have an impact for many years to come. And thank you, Cancer Council supporters. Your ongoing help is bringing us ever closer towards a cancer-free future. Thank you.
Our sincere congratulations to these two remarkable and deserving women.